Two strategic bombers, two crashes, one day. And together, they exposed a problem that both Washington and Moscow would rather not talk about. On June 15th, a U.S. Air Force B-52H bomber crashed shortly after takeoff from Edwards Air Force Base, reportedly killing all 8 crew members. Hours later, a Russian Tu-22M3 bomber crashed during its landing approach in Siberia. The Russian crew survived after ejecting, but the aircraft was lost. At first glance, these look like separate accidents, but they reveal a much bigger story. The world's 2 largest nuclear powers still depend heavily on bombers designed during the Cold War. Many of these aircraft are older than the pilots who fly them, and replacing them has proven far harder than either country expected. The real question is not why these bombers crashed. The real question is why they are still flying. And why this matters, we need to understand the role these aircraft play. The B-52 first entered service in 1955. That means some airframes in service today are more than 60 years old. Yet the aircraft remains the backbone of America's bomber force. It carries nuclear weapons, launches long-range cruise missiles, and supports military operations across the globe. The Russian Tu-22M3 is younger, but still a Cold War design. Russia originally developed it to destroy naval task forces and aircraft carriers using high-speed cruise missiles. Today, it remains one of Moscow's most important long-range strike platforms and has played a major role in attacks against targets in Ukraine. Neither aircraft remains in service because of nostalgia. They remain in service because no replacement fully matches their combination of range, payload, flexibility, and operating costs. And that brings us to the first major revelation. The biggest problem is not the crashes themselves. The biggest problem is that neither country can quickly replace what they lose. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union maintained enormous aerospace industries capable of producing strategic bombers at scale. Today, that industrial capacity looks very different. The United States no longer produces strategic bombers in serial production. Russia continues limited production of the Tu-160, but that aircraft serves a different role and cannot directly replace the Tu-22M3. This means every lost bomber matters. When a fighter jet crashes, manufacturers can often build another one. When a strategic bomber crashes, replacing it can take years, or may not happen at all. That reality makes these accidents far more significant than similar losses would have been 30 years ago. But aircraft losses are only part of the story. The second revelation is that both countries are struggling to modernize their bomber fleets. The B-52 that crashed was not an ordinary aircraft. It reportedly served as a critical test platform for the B-52J modernization program. That upgrade aims to keep the bomber operational for decades through new engines, improved electronics, and a modern active electronically scanned array radar. In simple terms, Washington plans to turn a Cold War bomber into a highly connected missile truck, capable of operating deep into the 21st century. But the program already faces delays and major cost overruns. The loss of an important test aircraft could slow development even further. Russia faces similar challenges. Moscow continues work on future bomber projects, while also modernizing existing fleets. However, sanctions, budget pressures, and industrial limitations complicate those efforts. Even maintaining aging bombers requires increasing amounts of time, money, and technical expertise. Both countries therefore face the same uncomfortable reality. They need new bombers, but building them takes longer and costs more than expected. And that leads directly to the third and most important revelation. These crashes expose a deeper shift in military power. For decades, strategic bombers symbolized industrial strength. Designing, building, and maintaining fleets of long-range bombers required advanced engineering, massive factories, and stable supply chains. Today, those capabilities have become surprisingly rare. The United States is developing the B-21 Raider, a next-generation stealth bomber designed to penetrate advanced air defenses. Russia continues work on future strategic aviation programs of its own. Yet, both efforts have moved more slowly than military planners originally hoped. Meanwhile, warfare itself is changing. Long-range drones, hypersonic weapons, cruise missiles, and space-based surveillance increasingly challenge the traditional role of manned bombers. Governments must now decide whether to invest hundreds of billions of dollars into new aircraft or shift resources toward newer technologies. Ironically, that uncertainty makes aging bombers even more valuable. Military planners cannot retire them because replacements are not ready. They cannot rapidly replace losses because production lines do not exist. And they cannot ignore them because strategic deterrence still depends heavily on these aircraft. In other words, Cold War bombers now carry a 21st century burden. And that burden continues to grow. So, what does all of this mean for global power? First, it highlights how fragile strategic air power has become. The United States and Russia still possess the world's most powerful bomber forces, but both depend heavily on aging aircraft. Every accident, maintenance issue, or modernization delay has a larger impact than many observers realize. Second, it reinforces the importance of industrial capacity. Future conflicts will not depend only on advanced weapons. They will depend on whether countries can build, repair, and replace those weapons fast enough. The ability to sustain military power may matter more than the ability to demonstrate it. Third, countries across Europe, Asia, and the Indo-Pacific will watch these developments closely. Allies rely on American strategic bombers for deterrence. Rivals study weaknesses and delays. Every setback influences calculations about future military balances. And for viewers around the world, these crashes offer an important reminder. Military strength is not just about having advanced equipment. It is about maintaining that equipment across decades while preparing for the next generation at the same time. That challenge now confronts both Washington and Moscow. The most powerful bombers on Earth are not disappearing because enemies destroyed them. They are disappearing because time eventually catches up with every machine. If this analysis changed how you see strategic bombers, subscribe and suggest topics that I should cover for the next video.